I definitely left out a bunch that I wanted to say in my supernatural review, but or like it's supposed to be like a supernatural vibe. Ugh. Anyways, guys, welcome to the GRIMM video. Remember to be your authentic self, walk and blaze your own path in life, and don't step on anybody else's. And screw the haters. Kill them with love in game. Ooh, because I'm under 30 seconds and YouTube's algorithm sometimes be tripping. Anyways, let's talk about GRIMM. GRIMM. My boy Nick, Hank, Monroe, Rosalie. Did I remember? Listen, anyways, there's going to be spoilers if you don't already know by the title of the video. I'm talking about seasons 1 to 3. I'm a little bit like a couple episodes into season 3. Oh, I've heard some things about GRIMM that I don't think I'm gonna like either, but we're not here to talk about that just yet. Now, GRIMM, Vesson. I can't help but go down the spiritual rabbit hole with it. I definitely could have with Supernatural, but I think before I do it with GRIMM, it's because GRIMM actually kind of went down that rabbit hole a little bit when you started getting introduced to what Vesson are. And I got some theories and some cool, like, a metaphysical perspective that I have on GRIMM. But I think I want to keep it more of a review. I don't know what I want to do, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. I just honestly wing this thing and then do it. So here's what I'm going to say. Honestly, I can't lie. The writing, I don't know if we'll ever have writing like that is in GRIMM, at least for right now. Remember, I'm at season 3 and I've heard some things about the writing to come. But, and I said this to my girlfriend when she put me on the GRIMM. I was like, oh my gosh, the writing of season 1 and 2 to me was so peak. The only thing that pissed me off was, and I'll say it was really, really solid before peak, but some reveals were just really peak. Sorry, a thought from earlier is getting me. I watched a video from Tyrone Magnus talking about GTA, and he said you can't trust Gen Zers or millennials with the calling everything peak and everything. But no, some things do be peak, and I'd be a harsh critic about certain things. I just don't know how much I've done that on YouTube, because who knows who would enjoy my videos if I did that. Maybe I'd get even more people because of being honest about some of my opinions with some of the stuff I see come out. But it's really, I try to keep it rooted in like really honest criticism and not just bashing a game, like just like people just being negative about things. But the one thing I will be negative about here is Nick's decision not to tell Juliet that he's a GRIMM. Even when the Vesson are showing up to his door, and then like the little like gerbil creature Vesson, which, okay, so let me explain Vessons if you don't know, but honestly, you shouldn't be watching this if you haven't watched GRIMM, but watch GRIMM. Maybe this will get you to watch GRIMM and you don't care about spoilers. Vesson are the half human, half creature spirits in the world of GRIMM, right? And in this world, humans, essentially, some of them have this spiritual connection to these animals that are close to sometimes mythological creatures, or then just like creatures from the Grimm brothers stories. So they're the ones that made, did they make Goldilocks and the Three Bears? I think they did. Yes, they did. Goldilocks, Little Red Riding Hood, which I think Little Red Riding Hood is the first episode. And you find out that the big bad wolf is actually called a Bluebot, which is what Monroe is. Monroe is so dope when he gets introduced, and how they did the writing of him and Nick becoming, intertwined, because Monroe actually explains the spiritual, metaphysical kind of side of what the Vesson are, I think much later, but he drops hints on it. Now, the Grimms, which Nick is, he's a descendant of the Grimms, and apparently there's other Grimm families, which that's also a problem that I have with the writing. I do wish there were more family lines of Grimm. I don't know if the show expands upon that before season 6, but I like seeing that there's different families. Like, you have different variations of the Vesson. There's tons of different races and cultures and whatever of the Vessons. But then, like, the Grimm, you only really know about certain things with, like, through Nick and, like, his family. Like, his aunt, it's genetic, apparently, right? And there are certain people who can perceive the Vesson especially if they get very emotional, which I'll come back to that in a spiritual way in a second. But there's some people that can perceive them and see them if they don't go full Volga. A Volga moment is like when they have an emotional outburst and show what creature they are. And then you have, and as you could tell, because I wasn't doing this in the Supernatural video, I retained a lot of information from Grimm, even though I've been binging Supernatural, which can show you which show is kind of my more preferred show. But with Nick, he's a Grimm. So Grimms can perceive like Vesson. And in the show, which this kind of the writing got me here too, but it's still good writing to me, is that it's passed down. It's genetic. So when his aunt dies and comes to show him like what's going on and that he's been seeing things, kind of like a spiritual awakening, he starts seeing these creatures, like, or these half human, half creatures, Vesson, right? And we end up learning what Vesson are like later, like a couple episodes later, and then when Monroe ends up telling him. But long story short, that is one of my gripes real quick, even though this is good writing and I'm going down a totally different talking point or just like review point, is that his aunt dies and it's genetic and it's passed down. But then, spoiler, which this already was going to have spoilers, his mom's alive. So like, how did it pass down when his aunt died? There can only be 2 Grimms in a family. I don't know. That to me was kind of like, but still very good writing. Borderline peak to me, at least in the first 3 seasons. So anyways, and also especially peak when he started getting his abilities, which is another thing that I like better than Supernatural. Again, I don't dislike Supernatural. I'm just saying I felt that there could be ways handled with Sam and Dean kind of having like special abilities a little bit more, that they kind of kept some of the instincts. They are very good hunters, and they, for 2 mere mortals, they do seem to take down a ton of phenomenon in the show. But that I also heard is part of the plot. So anyways, long story short, like, I mean, it's like meta. It's kind of like fourth wall breaky for the reason why they have plot armor. Anyways, long story short, back to Grimm. So I like how they handle it. Grimm is fire. I think I love how Hank's character is. I love Officer Wu, even though it is, yeah, Wu. He's like, you know, he's like, it's funny. He's like they're all kind of like relief, but he is like literally comic relief. I think he's like always literally cracking a joke or being sarcastic, being funny. And they all kind of are. They have that, what is it? Is this supposed to be like the officer humor, or the office, like the behind the closed doors, the humor in the department, the police department? But I think Wu's an officer, and then Hank and Nick are detectives, and they're partners, and they are just fucking the dope, just such a dope cast. And to me, this is what I also have to say. You know, the whole modern agenda of race swapping certain characters, and then other people will argue that this isn't happening. Hank, if you want to see how to cast a black actor and just, to me, just like some black excellence on screen, go watch Grimm. That's what I mean. That representation made me, like, I was like, man, yes, I see myself in Hank. Even though I don't need to see myself in Hank, I see myself in Nick too. Honestly, I felt like Nick because of like a spiritual awakening and not wanting to tell people around you because like they're going to think you're crazy. Like, that's the majority of why he didn't tell Juliet. But in my personal life, I wasn't, I'm just joking. I wasn't a little B word, Nick. I wasn't a little bitch. And the thing is to me, it's okay. Like, it's fine. I got why he was doing it. But then like when it came full circle and she was like, really, why didn't you tell me? And then he's kind of like, well, because the first time I told you, you didn't believe me, which is true. That did happen. But I mean, he could have proved it. And so, you know, I felt like they were dragging it at that point all the way into where she dropped. Ooh, man, there's something I could say there, but it wouldn't make, I don't want to say something crazy because this is seasons 1 to 3. So I don't want to say things that I did figure out that come later that I'm not happy about because of what Adeline did to Juliet. And this is okay because this is what happened recently, but I forgot exactly what it was. But Juliet like put some sort of curse on Juliet and the fucking police chief. By the way, the reveal that the police chief was a part of the royal family, fucking sick, and that he was part Hexen Beast, dope. I don't know, I liked it. Though they did play it up, I was wondering what he was, you know, because apparently like they were almost playing it up like he was going to be some crazy Vesson, but I think also the twist is like a man can't be a hexen beast. I don't know exactly. I think he's an anomaly or something. There is something about him. But when he started speaking in the other language and how they did that reveal and all the schemes going on with him were fucking cool. I'm not going to lie. Also, Monroe helping. By the way, I'm not really a big. Okay, I am a big dude on romance. My girlfriend would get on me for this. I am a lovey-dovey person. But romance in certain shows and movies and stuff and TV series or whatever can be cringe, really cringy to me sometimes. But to me, Monroe and Rosalie was done so amazingly well. I don't know how you guys did it. I don't know how the writer did it, but phenomenal. I just love their characters. I love the apothecary shop that she runs. And I just, yes. And she's a Fuchsbau, I think. That's they all have German names for like the Wesen creatures. I wonder if they're actual German words and names. I don't know if somebody German ends up watching this, tell me if like Fuchsbau and Bluebot and all of that is for real. But it's so sick. And I love when the cast finally fully knows about like the Wesen and then like everybody in the main cast is in on it. Like it's like Nick is going out and finding these creatures and he's being the balance between, finding out which ones are the good ones and hunting the bad ones. I.e. bringing me back to that comparison between Supernatural, because he is a hunter. Grimms are hunters. Just like, they just specifically hunt Wesen in certain phenomenon in Grimm, and then in Supernatural, they hunt kind of everything, well, apparently past season 6, but it was mostly spirits and like occult stuff. But in this, and another thing that Grimm did really cool is when they showed the Mr. Man with the swastika, being a Wesen. And the specific Wesen he was the Wesens that give off this pheromone that are like charming. And I love how it's explained in this world that certain Wesen have certain characteristics. Like, okay, let me give you an example. So Monroe ends up telling him that lawyers, like this dude who's a lawyer, is one of these creatures. I forgot what the creature's name is, but they're very charming. They give off a pheromone that basically turns humans, like it makes them drool for them. And you usually find these guys in positions where you need to be persuasive. And I was like, that's so dope how they did that in the show. Because then it makes you think about real life. And I could go down the whole spiritual rabbit hole about the animalistic nature and the chakra system, but it really is like that. It's funny because your root chakra and that I don't know. I don't want to go too deep right now, but essentially it was just dope how the show did that. And they shown that Hitler in history was one of these Wesen, and it kind of explained how he was that influential. So some people might find that corny and just being like, oh my God, for real. But low key to me, that was pretty cool of a way to do it. I don't know. Hey, I will gas the show all day long. It's my personal opinion on it, but it was really dope how they show it because like then when you get the more kind of gerbily anxious characters, their Wesen half is literally that that creature. They're like squirrely and anxious and don't mean harm, and they're like some of the weaker Wesen, like softer. And sometimes that could be weak, like depending in the show. Like I'm basing it off the show. Because I believe the weak can also be strong. They definitely were in numbers. But, when they show up to Nick's door and being very anxious about his identity and where the Grimm lives, they end up being actually very, like, sweet and just, like, anxious and, like, squirrelish. But even when they freak out, they turn into these, like, thick gerbil creatures. And I'm like, oh, but it's cool how they show how a certain personality type matches the Wesen creature there are. That's also why I like the show, because you can mirror that in like real life. It's really cool. So anyways, yeah, and there was some crazy Wesen episodes. I mean, like acid spitting, I think spiders or something. Like the bee episode was so sick. Oh my gosh, justice for the bees, man. Justice for the bees. That was one of the coolest episodes ever, man. And again, I could talk about some of the writing there where the bee was kind of talking to Nick about, he's coming for you, be careful. And Nick was like, who is coming? But she said that on her dying breath. And then I think she was referring to the police chief, which then that reveal wasn't too crazy because he was trying to help Nick, at least from what the series shows right now, even though Buddy did try to have his aunt killed. Or, well, yeah. So I'm not entirely sure if that's who she was talking about, unless she was talking about like the blowfish type witch doctor dude. That motherfucker was crazy, and the whole cliffhanger and how the writer, like the show writers, put in the thing, they kind of didn't take themselves serious. It was like, come on, you knew that was coming. Like a big significant moment that I won't spoil just in case somebody's watching this and they don't mind spoilers. That's a scene that you have to see for yourself for the first time, because I cracked up because I knew it was coming. I was like, come on. And they were like, oh, you knew it was coming, didn't you? But they built it up too obvious, like what was going to fucking happen. I was so mad. But I loved it. I love every moment of like, not a minute felt wasted watching Grimm. There was definitely slower episodes where I was like, but episodes that came after them made up for them. And I think every show and every series kind of has their dull moments or moments that feel like filler. But to me, I don't know why, but for some reason in Supernatural, it felt worse for me, especially because of where the writing went with like angel, 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 demon, 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 demon. And I was like, but yeah, man. And people got to give Grimm their flowers. It's good to see that most of the cast is doing well. I don't like, I'm saying most because I don't know if all of them were in videos that I've seen recently, but they're going to cons and stuff like that. And it would be cool to meet them. And I think Nick and Juliet, well, the actors that played them are married also in real life, and their on-screen relationship was just very cute too, except for Nick fucking just keeping shit from her instead of just being like, meh. But I also got him because of my spiritual awakening, why he didn't want to say the things he was perceiving and seeing, because he was like, fuck, people are gonna think I'm schizo. And yeah, I'm over it now. I'm pretty much like main series Nick. But again, I like, and of course where it takes place is, I think it takes place in Portland, Oregon, which, Gravity Falls, weird stuff's happening in Oregon. It's making me feel like I've got to go to Oregon and see what's going down there. See if my senses pick up anything over there. Because definitely if something supernatural is going down, it will reveal itself to my ass. But anyways, that's it for Grimm. I love Grimm, and I can't wait to do my Grimm X Supernatural video, because I feel like, even if I don't put them together with each other, because obviously I think with the writing of how Supernatural is on paper, if you're not talking about the first few seasons, Grimm, like Nick and the Grimm cast, if they had to go against Sam and Dean, and realistically I bet all of them would work together, but if let's say it was a death battle, Nick would take the cake, like their cast would take the cake 100%, because the Vesson, it's like they have Monroe as a blue bot, so I just don't realistically think Sam and Dean, without the prep time or whatever, are beating because like he's not someone where you could just burn the bones because he's being possessed by a demon or something. He's literally half a fucking wolf, like half werewolf. Like you're not. And then Nick, he's got abilities that I think that they started kicking was it the beginning of season 3? I can't remember the episode because I just recently started watching again, so I don't remember what episode it was because it was months ago when I seen it. But it was whenever he got the spit in his eyes. Ooh, that was such a nasty episode. Oh, that was so dark with like the maggots growing out of. Ooh, some of those episodes can be crazy. Just letting y'all know right now if you do watch. But I mean, I love it. And Supernatural and Grimm both get their flowers. But Grimm, love Grimm. Love it right now. Not the stuff that I heard was coming, but still amazing writing to me. And I feel like we're really not going to get writing like Supernatural and Grimm ever again, just because of the modern day and the modern sensitivities, which it's sad because it's like you can tell these shows didn't take themselves too serious and they played up stereotypes. And yes, some of the humor might be a little outdated, but it's low-key looking like how things have become in the new day and age that, to me, I was saying this when I was 18. I'm 26 now. It felt like the new generation of like people were getting softer. Like there's a balance between, yes, like being understanding and aware of who you're joking and making jokes around and being sensitive to things, but then there's a limit to then literally sanitizing everything. And I just feel like writing and solid writers unless it's like me to get into writing or someone who sees the same things I'm seeing, and then we start making our own media like for real, and putting our head down to the books and dedicating to it, you won't get writing like this ever again. So to the solid fire writers out there, which I think everyone who embarks on a journey of being an author and everything is a fire writer, who's not worried about modern day sensitivities and like, I'm going to give you raw and just like, then do it. You know, make jokes, like, because Supernatural doesn't take itself serious. You know how many episodes, like, you get, like, to me, it got annoying, but I didn't go online making a whole raid about it. I'm pretty sure all the diehard Supernatural lovers that absolutely gas, and I wanted to make a vulgar joke, but let's just say, you know, eating hot dogs of Jensen Ankles playing Dean, and how drop dead alluring the dude is. His character Dean was talking about busty Asian women all the time, and it's like he's just, if the term gooner existed then, it would be applied to this motherfucker. Like, but again, I think writing like that should still be around because it feels like things are just so like washed and sensitive nowadays. And all that deep emotional connection and stuff that you can form with the characters only comes from writing that's not afraid to get darker, not take itself serious, and things of that nature. But if it's like trying to push propaganda, you're not getting that. Anyways, don't know if I went down on a rabbit hole that's too removed from the main point of the video, but GRIMM is solid. Isn't that funny? I start talking about Sam and Dean, but I'm like, GRIMM is solid. Let's bring it back. But I definitely think GRIMM handled the relationships well. I like when Nick finally admitted to Hank, you know, what was going on. And then like Hank starts saying like, is that person Vesson? Is he one of them? Love it. I'm glad that like Hank even went to see like I think like a therapist and like a psychic, maybe, I can't remember, because he couldn't believe what he was seeing. And again, in certain points, I wished Nick admitted to him earlier that there are Vesson. Like, just, yes, you are seeing what you're seeing. Because Hank was like, man, just tell me, you know, we're partners. Tell me if there's something I don't know. Because somehow you always know information about these cases we're solving. So if there's something I got to know, let me know. And then when he found out this stuff existed and found out Monroe was like a blue bot and everything, he was like, yeah, that's what I thought it was. And I'm like, oh my God, they handled the writing so well. I'm so glad. They didn't make it annoying. They didn't make him go, oh my gosh, even how Juliet handled it. Loved it. She became like a ride or die after she knew what Nick was actually going through. And I was like, yes, they just did the writing so amazing. Anyways, I'm out of here. Much love. And no, I'm not saying that anymore. Bask in the moonlight.